Is Anthony Joshua actually going to fight Vladimir Klitschko on November 26th? Because all the noises coming out of the Joshua camp, especially from his promoter Eddie Hearn, seem to indicate that he probably will fight Klitschko on that date. Now, it's not signed, obviously, and a lot can happen between now and then, but just the fact that Klitschko seems to be the front runner is surprising to me. Maybe it's all a cynical ploy by Eddie Hearn to build up a Klitschko fight for a later date and just help to generate more publicity for AJ and keep his name in people's mouths. Maybe it's that, or maybe he really is serious about making the fight. It is strange that it's taken so long for Eddie Hearn to confirm an opponent for Joshua. Up until this point, he'd often had Joshua's fights planned out 2-3 fights at a time. I mean, even when you used to check Anthony Joshua's BoxRec, you would see several fights listed on there. That's not normally something that is done for championship level fighters, it has to be said. And since he's become a world title holder, I don't think I've seen that. But still, they've managed to organize his opponents very, very quickly up until now. Whereas this time it's taken forever. The clock really is ticking. Will it be Klitschko? Well, Kubrat Pulev seems to have ruled himself out. He was actually confronted by Eddie Hearn after the Nathan Cleverly Jurgen Bremer fight. It's pretty funny. There's a video on IFL TV of Eddie Hearn confronting Kubrat Pulev, and for whatever reason, Pulev don't seem to be interested in the fight. Berman Stavern has also ruled himself out, although he would probably say he was never ruled in. He's not in the IBF top 15, but actually, up until the, I think, August rankings or September rankings of the IBF came out, Stavern actually was in the top 15. So I believe he was in the top 15 when Hearn was trying to offer Don King that money for Stavern to fight Joshua. So I know Stavern's getting all upset about it, but I think he needs to have a word with Don King. A serious word, because from the outside looking in, it seems as though a real offer might have actually been made by Hearn to Don King for Stavern to fight Joshua, and maybe Stavern wasn't told about it by Don King for whatever reason. I don't know. That's speculation, obviously. So Pulev is out, Stavern's out. Parker is probably out because he's trying to go the WBO route, it seems, according to his promoter, Dean Lonergan. He says a deal between Parker and Ruiz is 95% done for December 10th in New Zealand. So who else is left for Joshua to fight other than Klitschko? There are a number of people in that IBF top 15, but out of the guys who have been in the running all along, I mean, they've all ruled themselves out. And there's only Klitschko left in terms of somebody that Eddie Hearn has been talking about. There are other guys out there, I think Jarrell Miller, but he's got a contractual problem or promotional problem at the moment. So, I don't know, man. I'm just baffled as to why it's taking so long and who it's actually going to be. Maybe they'll push the date back, might have mentioned previously. Maybe November 26th is too soon. It's not just the fact that fighting Klitschko would be surprising because Joshua is Eddie Hearn's golden goose. So for him to put Joshua in such a risky fight like that would be surprising, to me at least. But not only that, it's also the time frame. Such a big fight you would have thought would need to be built up over several months. Would they really just want to put it together, spare of the moment on the fly like this? Eddie Hearn had said that he wants all of the belts to be on the line in terms of WBA, WBO. And it's going to be a case of putting the deal for the fight together and then presenting that deal to the sanctioning bodies and saying, do you want to allow this fight to go ahead for these belts? And Hearn seems to be indicating that if the sanctioning bodies refuse, he thinks that they won't, but, well, he says that he thinks they won't. But if they do refuse, he wouldn't necessarily be interested in making the Joshua Klitschko fight only for the IBF. Basically conceding that it is too much of a risk with not enough reward. You just be beating Vladimir Klitschko in a voluntary defense, and what do you gain from it? No belts. Yeah, maybe a little bit of credibility, but that's about it. This is Eddie Hearn's perspective. I'm not saying this is my perspective. So yeah, an interesting situation, a strange situation, and I'll keep you guys updated, and please keep me updated as well. I rely on you guys as much as you rely on me. There's some excellent information that people post in the comment section to my videos. You know, it's a hub of information, my channel. People come with different news articles and links in the comment section, and I come with whatever information I have, and together we will try and figure out what the hell is going on in the world of boxing. So if you've heard anything, if you know anything, if you've got the inside scoop, if you've heard any rumors, if you've listened to any interviews and heard any interesting information, then please drop it all in the comment section below and leave links where possible. Can we find out who Joshua's going to fight on November 26th, or what direction they're going at least? Let me know in the comment section, people. And who would you like to see Joshua fight on November 26th? Many of you may say Klitschko. Some of you may say Parker. Some of you may say Pulev, Stavern, etc., etc. Even though most of those fights seem unlikely, just for the sake of conversation, who would you prefer to see Joshua fight? Who do you think it would be best for Joshua to fight in terms of his career development? Many people believe that the Klitschko fight is too soon for Joshua in terms of career development. It is interesting, actually, that Joshua is seemingly willing to fight Klitschko, because he did spar Klitschko. And according to Malik Scott, he more than held his own against Vladimir Klitschko in sparring. In fact, it was interesting to me that when Joshua talked about the sparring, he said the first time they sparred, or the first maybe couple of rounds they sparred, he was actually holding back. And then one of the trainers there, or whoever, told him, don't hold back, you can go in a little bit. And Joshua said basically he held back because he didn't want to go out there and disrespect the champ. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what Joshua said. I didn't want to disrespect the champ. He invited me out to Germany, to his camp. He's been so nice to me. I didn't want to go in there and just take liberties. But after those trainers or whoever told him it's okay, you can let your hands go a bit, again, according to Malik Scott, he more than held his own. So he actually, in effect, got the better of Klitschko. And this is when Joshua was, 11, 12 fights in? That must have given him enormous confidence. And maybe he's still carrying that confidence now and thinking, you know what? Several fights ago, I was holding my own with Klitschko in sparring. Right now, I think I can beat him. Maybe that's Joshua's mentality. I know sparring is sparring and all that kind of stuff, but sparring does mean something. It don't mean everything, because it's all about performing at crunch time under the big lights. But Joshua so far has proved he can do that against lesser opposition, obviously, but he's shown he can do it. If you can replicate what you do in sparring in an actual fight, then it clearly means something. So sparring means that you have the ability to do certain things. Whether you can execute on the big stage is another thing, but you have the ability. Yeah? So maybe, as I say, Joshua was holding on to that. Interesting situation, people. Joshua Klitschko. What would happen if Joshua does fight Klitschko? Will he get knocked out? Or will he knock Klitschko out? Maybe Klitschko is just too old now. Maybe a young, energetic, unbeaten, ambitious, strong fighter like Anthony Joshua would make Vladimir Klitschko every bit of his 40 years. Maybe would be shocked by how Joshua deals with Klitschko. If he, what if he goes in there and blows him out? One thing I can tell you is that Klitschko hasn't faced an athlete like Joshua for a very, very long time indeed. A pure athlete like that. Maybe David Haye. He was a good athlete, but I don't think David Haye is even as good an athlete as Joshua is. And obviously David Haye is a lot smaller than Joshua. Joshua is the same height as Klitschko. He's got the same reach as Klitschko. In fact, I think Joshua's reach might even be an inch longer. He weighs about the same as Klitschko. In terms of the physical strength, I don't know, you would maybe imagine Klitschko is stronger, but with the extra energy that youth brings, maybe Joshua might be stronger than Klitschko. I don't know, man. It's interesting. And I realize I'm waffling now. I'm thinking out loud. I need to stop doing that. So anyway, let me know how you feel, people. I've raised a lot of topics of discussion and debate here. So let's have it out in the comment section. Let me know what you feel about all of this. It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.